Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, thank you for joining me once again. I had originally planned on putting this video up on YouTube the first part of March, but due to computer problems and difficulties, I was unable to do so. So this is coming out after St. Patrick's Day. I know that I've made at least one video showing my favorite sugar cookie recipe, which is a soft sugar cookie and uses sour cream to make it soft. But I wanted to show you a different spin on it and how to make a sugar cookie for St. Patrick's Day, since that's coming up. And in the description box, I will link the previous video that has the recipe in that description box. So look for that if you would like to make these. So I won't go in depth here as to the measurements and the process, but just know that it takes sugar and butter and eggs and vanilla, sour cream, flour, baking soda, and salt to make a delicious sugar cookie. If you don't have sour cream, you can also use sour milk. And right here, I have gotten all the ingredients except the sour cream and the flour into the mixer. And I am just going to alternate sour cream, then flour, then the rest of the sour cream, and then the rest of the flour until I have a very sticky and very wet dough. And then that needs to chill in the refrigerator for a couple of hours. On this day, it chilled for much longer than that, probably more like 6 or 7 hours before I was able to get back to it. I was using this container as a camera stand, and now I need to use it to hold the cookie dough. So into the refrigerator, it goes into an airtight container. Now it has been much later, and I pull it out of the refrigerator and onto a floured surface. I only work with a little bit at a time, and since this was so cold, it was hard to manipulate at first, and then it warmed up a little bit and it was much easier. So I'm just flouring my counter, my dough, and my rolling pin really well, and rolling this out to about a 1/2 of an inch thick. Then once I get my dough ready, I pull out my cookie cutter and be sure and put some flour on it and cut out the cookies. I'm using a cookie cutter that's very old. It was my mom's, and it's not really a Shamrock, it's a club. I have a Shamrock cookie cutter, but it was much smaller than I wanted the cookies to be for this. And it also had some sharp edges that I knew might tear. And plus, it wasn't in as good a shape and it was a little rusty. So I didn't want to use that for this. I'm making these cookies to take to an event along with some chocolate chip cookies, and so I want them to be extra nice. So I just repeat the process every time I have the scraps. Then I gather them together and smash them together and add some fresh cookie dough to it. Roll it out, cut them out, put them on an ungreased cookie sheet, and then I will bake them at 375 degrees for 8 minutes. These are out of the oven, and so now I transfer them to a cooling rack. And then I will make my frosting, which the recipe is also going to be on that link that I will leave in the description box. And then I dust them with a little bit of colored sugar. I make a very simple and basic buttercream frosting for this using a half a cup or 1 stick of butter, softened butter, 4 cups of powdered sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and a little bit of milk to make it the desired consistency. And then I just mix it with my hand mixer on the high setting for a long time until it gets air in it and becomes nice and creamy and spreadable. I also put some green food coloring in this as I was making it for St. Patrick's Day. These cookies will keep in your freezer and then defrost beautifully. So it's a good recipe that you can make ahead of time and have it frosted and put in airtight containers, and then when you need them for guests or parties, they're ready to go. I did not tint this frosting a very dark green. I typically don't really like food coloring or colored foods as well as plain and natural colors. So a dark green colored food that's not natural is just not appetizing to me. So I tend to go a little lighter, and then I put some green sprinkles on here, some green colored sugar. And then you'll see that I also had some white sugar or kind of glittery looking sugar that I put on some of them. So you can decorate these however you like and whatever you find to be desirable. And it's a good activity for the kids to help you with. These are a little wonky looking, and if you use a club cookie cutter, you may have to tell somebody that it's supposed to be a shamrock. But you probably have a shamrock cookie cutter already. You can use this recipe to make cutout cookies for Easter, for 4th of July, or Halloween, Thanksgiving, or Christmas. Or just use a round biscuit cutter to make a cookie for any time of year. Go ahead and store these in an airtight container, either in the refrigerator or in the freezer. And if I need to stack these cookies, I always put a piece of wax paper or parchment paper on top of the bottom row and stack on top of that. And here's my tray of cookies all ready to take to the event. So thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And have a great day. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Goodbye.